Hey everybody, welcome to another Sunday Night Live. I appreciate everybody being here this week. I'm just going to make sure that I can hear myself so that way if anybody decides to watch us on the playback, we will make sure the audio is good as usual and then we'll jump into it. So let me just check.
Make sure the audio is good as usual.
All right, the audio is good to go. So in case you guys want to tune in later on, and we'll jump into this housing market stuff and things that's happening in real estate. If you're new to the channel, thank you for joining us. Please don't forget to subscribe to the channel. If you're new, also hit that like button to help push us through the algorithm so more people can join in conversation with us on live discussions and also on the replays as well. So if anyone is looking to have discussions or conversations around what's happening currently in the housing market or just want information or education, they can definitely find us via YouTube. And then also sometimes with some of these videos, there is a shooting star underneath the videos. It's called a hype button. So if you see that hype button, don't forget to hype us up as well, because it helps to push us through the algorithm to get us out there to have conversations with more people around the current housing market. Hey, what's going on, Alex? How you doing today? Happy Sunday. Wonder if designated agency will replace dual agency and become a if you scratch my back, I will scratch yours for realtors. I'm not sure, to be honest. As you know, Georgia is a state that allows for dual agency. Not every state allows for dual agency. Georgia is a state that allows for it. Of course, we all know designated agency is just basically if you as a seller is currently, if me as an agent currently has a seller client and then a buyer comes in, basically I can say, hey, I'm going to connect you with another agent out of my quote unquote brokerage and designate that buyer to a buyer's agent out of my brokerage, X, Y, and Z. So I understand your whole thing as far as replacing the dual agency wise. I don't know. Maybe it will, maybe it won't. But I do know in Georgia that because we are a dual agency state, a lot of agents in this state, they like to do both sides. I'm not a fan of doing both sides. I just don't feel like it's fair to the other side as far as negotiating. So typically, I guess I would do a designated agency or just kind of send the person to another agent. So I don't know if that'll take place or not, but that'll be something interesting to kind of see going forward. So let me know what else you feel might happen in real estate. But definitely, there's always, instances of course, people scratching someone. Like if I do you a favor, you do me a favor, vice versa. There's things that people are not supposed to do in the business, which are kickbacks and all those things. And that happens all the time. I literally just had a conversation with a local investor and they're basically something similar happened where they bought a house off market from a particular agent from a certain brokerage. And that agent said, if I allow you to buy this house from us off market, you will allow me to list it on market once you renovate it, flip it, and put it back on the market. And that's what they agreed upon. So it's always if you scratch my back, I will scratch your situation happening. Does it make for an ethical situation? No. However, America is a capitalist country, and the way things are set up, people do things for other people. So it happens in every industry, everywhere. So I don't know what will happen in regards to if it'll replace dual agency or not. Hey, what's going on, Dad? So let me know what else you're feeling about, what else you feel could possibly kind of happen as far as realtors when it comes to real estate, Alex. I would love to hear your thoughts or what you feel could possibly occur or what's going on. All right, so right now, let's, as usual, as we jump on the live, we always want to hit and see what these mortgage rates are looking like. Again, this is based off of Mortgage News Daily. There's other platforms in which you can find mortgage rates as well for Fannie Mac, Freddie Mac, different places per se. So we're at nationally on an average situation. Again, this does not mean your rate will be this if you decide to take these routes as far as financing, but you have a 30-year fix currently at 6.32. Again, this could fluctuate come Monday because this is the closing out on Friday's market. 15-year conventional 5.91, 30-year jumbo 6.53. ARM is 5.96, a 30-year FHA is 5.91, and a 30-year VA is at 5.93. Again, this is an average. This does not mean your rate will be this. It could be this, it could be lower, it could be higher. It depends on your different layers when it comes to debt to ratio, credit score, X, Y, and Z. So, but all right, so we'll jump off of that. If you guys wanted to kind of see where those rates was at, if you are in the market currently on buying. All right, so my good friend David Matney, I don't think he's here tonight, but he sent me an article recently this week in regards to Atlanta being a spot now where people are seeing levels adjusting price wise, and now Atlanta is considered a place where they feel like people have the upper hand in buying. So we're going to get into an article before we kind of jump into where it's, you know, how it kind of says that Atlanta is seeing something happening. Let's just jump into the first thing, which we're talking about tonight, is new listings are up and is now a good time for you to buy a house. So according to Redfin News, it says more home buyers are putting up for sale signs as the days get warmer. So as we head into the spring market, if you guys probably would, you know, think or kind of see a lot of people that were trying to list possibly before, or maybe they were waiting to list, because typically the spring season is the season in which most people feel like they get the highest return on their property. Also the best time traditionally to kind of list because people are relocating. Typically the kids are out of school, different as they hit this get to the summertime per se. And parents, and if they have children, that's the typical time in which they want to kind of move on per se, where they don't have to worry about that whole school situation, and then they can have time to settle in, then be able to get their children acquainted and everything set up for school purposes. So that's typically why you will see a lot of people moving within that spring season or putting houses up with the spring season, because by the time that they get their children get out of school, hopefully they got a contract under contract, they're closing out their property, and they're moving on to the next situation. Alex said, my wish is for realtors to allow unrepresented buyers as a customer. Yeah, definitely. I think the only reason why it's hard to do like an unrepresented buyer. I said my wish is for realtors to allow unrepresented buyers as a customer. So typically, if you do like a dual agency, and I'm pretty sure you probably know this as well, Alex, that as dual agency, if the realtor is on the seller side, that seller is that realtor's client, and they owe them a fiduciary responsibility in regards to the sale of the property. And when it comes to the buyer side, they are typically an unrepresented buyer as a customer. The agent cannot take both of you guys on as a client, so you're seen on the other side as a customer to the realtor on the buyer side. So I don't know if that's similar to what you're trying to say here, but that's typically how the dual agency goes. There are a lot of people. The thing about Georgia that I noticed the most, and a lot of buyers kind of do this, is even with new construction and new sale. They go to the new sales representatives, right? And they feel like, oh, I'm just going to go straight to the representative because I don't need an agent. And then the whole big shabam is like agents get paid to do nothing. And I always try to fight against that because it's not reality. And I guess it's because based off of what I know I do. So I know I'm not doing anything. And I know I extend myself very, very far. And because of that, some people have a nasty taste in their mouth in regards to agents, that they feel like the ones who they feel like, you know, everything looks smooth on the outside, so they don't seem like they're doing anything. And they'll just go to these new construction sites and they'll feel like that new construction sales agent is representing them as their agent per se. But in reality, new sales associates or those new construction agents are representing the buyer. They're representing the builder, sorry, and they are the builder's client, right? The builder is their client, so they owe that fiduciary responsibility to the builder and not really to the consumer, which is the unrepresented buyer as that customer. And so that's the one thing, because I don't know, it's very rare if a buyer that's unrepresented goes to an actual agent and the agent doesn't have a hand in it some way, whether it be as a dual agency, whether it be as a designated agency, passing them off to an outside agent, well, not an outside agent within their brokerage per se. The The only way I can see that happening is if it's a for sale by owner. Typically, most for sale by owners are not represented by a selling agent. That's why it's for sale by owner, and everybody has the option to do a for sale by owner, right? I always tell clients, if it's a tight squeeze in regards to you trying to get out your home, maybe you should explore for sale by owner, because I can't help you, because I need to make sure I get a commission or compensation from you in the sense of my brokerage. So this is how it works, and most people probably do know this, but as an agent, I have to adhere to a brokerage. I have to put my license with a brokerage. And when I put my license with a brokerage, I have to then have a percentage tacked onto the client, the seller, the buyer, because in turn, when I go to close, the brokerage is going to want a piece of that particular quote unquote commission for the purpose of me lying my license at this brokerage. And so typically, a brokerage wants to make sure you charge a client a commission percentage, right? And I say typically because sometimes I've seen it happen at my old brokerage, because I switched to another brokerage now, but I've seen it happen at my old brokerage where people on a buyer side, not on the seller side, because on the seller side, you always have to make sure you have that contract in place as far as that compensation. But on the buyer side, some of the agents will forget to put their commission amount in there. And because of that, some of those the seller agents didn't pay them. And so you have some agents who unfortunately don't get paid. But so if the best way to kind of go as far as being unrepresented buyer as a customer without having an agent involved is possibly to go more to a for sale by owner. They don't have an agent. You guys can go, the buyer can go. If they don't want to have an agent either, they can go. Of course, in the state of Georgia, we are represented by closing attorneys. So you will still need to get the closing attorney in order to facilitate the closing. Typically, most closing attorneys do not write contracts. So if you want to get a contract written, you would have to go to a real estate attorney possibly to get that contract written, or you have to have some accessibility to the GMLS and pay for those GAR forms in which realtors utilize that the real estate attorneys write every year, and they update them frequently due to things that happen annually in regards to the sales in the state of Georgia. So you could definitely go and buy a house by yourself without an agent. You can definitely sell one without an agent, right? But if you feel like you need more understanding or information outside of what you're reading online or in articles, if you haven't bought in a long time per se, then it might make sense to talk to an agent. And again, you don't have to, the agent doesn't have to represent you. Maybe you can just reach out to the agent and have a conversation, right? But hopefully that makes sense. I don't know. I feel like I'm all over the place today. Hey, what's going on, Donna? Thanks for jumping on. I appreciate you being here. Happy Sunday. Happy Sunday. So, all right, let's get into this article. If you have anything else you were kind of feeling, Alex, let me know. But I understand what you talk about. You're like, how are other ways to kind of dive into, the concept of buying and selling without always being represented by an agent, if that's what you're kind of saying. I don't know. I might be wrong. I don't want to assume nothing too crazy and be all, be wrong. It says we're seeing a small spring rebound with new listings of homes for sale ticking up. So according to Redfin News, they're saying new listings of U.S. homes for sale rose 3% year over year during the 4 weeks ending April 19th, the biggest increase since November. Pending home sales fell 1.2% year over year, the smallest decline in about a month. Mortgage purchase applications rose 10% week over week. And sometimes I tell people, even when we see mortgage applications rising, sometimes it's just buyers trying to get ahead of the curve and kind of see like, what do I possibly qualify for? What steps do I need to take in order to create home ownership in the future? Because lenders can be able to create a good path for you financially as far as budgeting, what to pay down, what not to pay down, how to structure things to get you into owning a home or purchasing going forward. So sometimes you'll get people that'll put in mortgage applications who are not yet able to buy, but they're trying to create a pathway to buy. So even if applications rise, that does not always mean that these are people purchasing. It also could mean these are people refinancing, because if you guys know, people have been trying to refinance and different things. So there's numerous things that happen when mortgage applications rise. It's not just people trying to purchase. So it's very nuanced, as we all know. Some home sellers and buyers have entered the market as mortgage rates decline. The weekly average mortgage rate fell 6.3% from 6.4% 2 weeks earlier, bringing the median monthly housing payment down 1.4% year over year. Additionally, there are some signs last week that the end was in sight for the Middle East conflict, as we all know, which sent oil prices down temporarily. I have seen a decline in oil prices where I'm at. I don't know if you guys have, oil prices, sorry, gas prices where I'm at. I don't know if you guys have seen it, but let me know. But I have seen a decline as far as gas prices. But I don't know if the decline is just them putting ethanol inside the gas now. I don't know, and watering it down to make you seem like we're getting. Because I know one thing, as we discussed last time with Miss H, I think we were talking about it, where my gas is going so daggone quickly. So I don't know. Y'all let me know how y'all feeling with these gas, what the gases look like. Hey, Croy, what's going on? Clark, how are you in Georgia? I'm sorry. I'm late. That's okay. No problem. Don't feel sorry that you're late. I appreciate you being here. I'm doing good in Georgia. Can't complain. How are you doing in Florida? What's going on down there? Are you sweating? Like I say, every time I go to Florida, once I get off that plane, my back starts sweating. I sweat too quickly, so I can't stay in Florida that long. It's too humid for me. Too humid. Hey, Miss H, apparently not in Texas. There are places that have new built homes by the area and neighborhoods not moving or selling. Yeah, I could believe that because Texas is one of those states, just like Georgia as well, where they've overbuilt. In Florida, they've overbuilt, and a lot of these new constructions that are being built now, these are probably pieces of land that were bought 2-3 years ago, and they finally got through the permitting, the zoning, all these different things. And once they finally got to hit that stage, housing has started to go the other way, right? It's not a mass amount of people migrating to these areas like they were before. Some of these remote from home workers are being called back into the offices. Some of these people that were traditionally looking to move, then you have the insurance stuff happening in Florida, the property taxes problem happening in Texas, because I've heard Texas property taxes are astronomically crazy. I'm not in Texas. I don't know that market in depth. However, agents that I know down there, they're saying that those taxes are hitting high, are very expensive, I should say. So definitely, so you'll see people in those neighborhoods. And my sister's trying to sell her house in Texas, and her house is sitting. So yeah, so I can definitely I can understand Texas not moving in new builds. A lot of these new builds sitting longer. Hey, what's going on, Lang? Thanks for joining. All right, let's see. So it says that may have brought some home sellers and buyers off the sidelines as they felt more confidence in the economy. Sorry. And it says still this spring's home buying season is off to a slow start. As we know, there's still people, sitting on the fence due to the uncertainty. Mortgage rates are still above sub 6% rates. We saw briefly in February, home sales prices are up 2% year over year. In addition to elevated costs, most Americans are shying away from selling or buying homes because the economy feels shaky, as we all know. This is kind of, repetitive or redundant per se, so I don't want to read the same thing over and over again, because we kind of touched on a lot of this. Let's get down to, again, we touched on this last week as well, as far as leading indicators of home buying demand activity. As we know, the daily average 30-year mortgage rate fixed, as we talked about earlier, is about come April 22nd, 6.32% is down from 6.64, down year over year, 6.98. And this is the same thing, but do different, and then we kind of touched on this last time, so we don't have to keep going through that. I don't want to be repetitive with you guys, because we're here to have a conversation outside of the, what we're seeing basically right now. We're kind of seeing the same things occurring, right? Week after week, in regards to the housing market, things are kind of staying steady, moving slow. However, like I said, they are saying that things are selling and people are buying. So let's check out this article where it says, gone in 7 days, 1/3 of homes sell within a week in the fastest markets while others sit. So I don't know how your market is looking, but let me know if houses are gone in 7 days. All right. It says Seattle. This is for Zillow in Seattle. It says a new Zillow analyst reveals that the U.S. housing market is operating on two distinct tracks. Desirable, well-priced homes continue to sell quickly, though this group is shrinking. Other homes are lingering longer than they have in years. These numbers look similar to what would have been expected before the pandemic, pointing to a housing market that is settling into its new norm. So as we all know, the housing market is different in different areas, different markets in different cities and different locales. So it depends on where you're at. Like Ms. H said earlier, there's a lot of new construction communities sitting vacant. I've mentioned this to you guys as well. Where I'm currently living at in the Metro Atlanta area, there is a whole Toll Brothers housing community down the street from me, a Triton Homes housing community down the street from me, new construction builds. These homes are going, at one time, these particular Toll Brothers homes, they're building townhouses and single family residentials units. They were going, the townhouses were going for like the high 600,000s. Now they're at the high 500,000s. And excuse me. And then also the Triton homes down the street, they were sitting at 700,000. Now they're at 600,000. So these new construction communities are trying to move, unload their inventory. And the Triton homes is different from Toll Brothers. Toll Brothers actually built out all their inventory. So they built out all their phases. What I'm realizing with Triton, the new construction community, is that it's supposed to be a 12 subdivision of townhomes, and they've only built 4, and they have yet to sell the 4. So they haven't built anymore. So like Ms. H is saying, there are communities in which things are just sitting and is lingering. So it just depends. So if you guys are in these desirable areas in which homes are selling within 7 days, let me know. Because I believe, I don't know if it's Massachusetts, it's some area that's very desirable that homes are selling quickly outside of parts of Jersey. It says the gap between how quickly sold homes move and how long all inventory sits reached its widest point for any March since 2020. This March, the typical home that sold went pending in 19 days, while the median average of active listings was 56 days, a 37 difference. The gap was as narrow as 9 days in April 2022. The divide reflects a market where buyers have more choices and more leverage than they had in years, and where homes that stand out are rewarded while others wait. So if you, as we mentioned before, if you're trying to sell right now and you make sure your home is priced well, you make sure your home is desirable as far as appealing with the eye, because as human beings, right, I always say we like to see pretty stuff. We like pretty things, right? When you go to the grocery store, they dye the salmon pink. They put the pretty fruits on top. They make it very pretty and desirable for your eyesight. So as people, we like to see pretty stuff. So make sure your home has a pretty curb appeal, right? Make sure when you go inside the home, you declutter. You make sure your home is clean. If the walls look a little, janky, make sure you do some type of cleaning. You don't have to paint them. If you can clean it a little bit and get some of the dirt or whatever it is that might be on the wall, the dust, whatever, off. Do different things to just kind of create a cosmetic wise that can create a very good visual for people to see, because your home could be because of the way it looks visually, it could help you sell quicker, right? So they're saying this is the metros with fastest and slowest housing markets. Share of homes sold within 7 days. So Seattle, Washington, 34.7% sold within 7 days. St. Louis, Missouri, 36.4% sold within 7 days. Washington, D.C., 35.5% sold in 7 days. Richmond, Virginia, 33.9%. Hartford, Connecticut, sold in 7 days. And then in New York, we're seeing only 5.6% sold in 7 days. So they're still seeing sales in 7 days, but they're just slower. So this could basically mean that, again, it's a desirable price point. It's in a desirable located area. Maybe they've done things to appeal to the eyesight. So you're seeing these slower markets, but you're seeing some stuff still sell within 7 days if they're probably priced correctly. It says nationally, 18.5% of homes went pending within 7 days in February 2026. It says the latest month with complete sales data in the fastest markets, including St. Louis, Missouri, Hartford, Connecticut, and Seattle, Washington, more than 1/3 of all homes sell that quickly. Among those fast-selling homes, 44.3% sold above asking price, which is still crazy, compared to 17.1% of all homes, making homes that sold within a week 2.6 times more likely to have attracted a bidding war. The second highest such multiple in Zillow's data going back to 2018. And I can attest to this. I have a client currently right now. I helped her buy a property a few years ago, and now she's in the thing of wanting to sell and buy something else. And we went out last weekend, and there was a house that was a little overpriced according to the data that I looked up as far as comparables. However, the house was it was a desirable part of Macon, Georgia. I don't live in Macon, you guys, but It's a good hour and something away from me, but this is a client that I worked with, so I'm helping her, excuse me, through the process again. But it was in a desirable part of Macon. I believe it was in North Macon, a desirable part of Macon. And it was a house that was a rancher on a basement. It also had a it was on the end of a street. It was on a cul-de-sac. It was the last house on the street. So as far as people coming into down that road, you would know who's coming in and out because you can't go nowhere. So it was at the end. It had no house next to it. It had a nice backyard, everything, and the appearance of the house was in great condition, right from the outside and the inside. It was pretty, and they had multiple offers, and the listing agent was trying to get us to go over the asking price, which is a no. As I told my client, I was like, I understand you want to purchase this house, but you have to, think rationally. Like, we can't just jump off of emotion. And that's what happens typically when people want to buy something, right, that they really like. They jump off of emotion. And we sat back, we looked at the comparables, we looked at neighborhood, we understood like the timeline, different things happening. So she went in for a lower asking price that made more sense. However, they did, get somebody who came in way higher. But she was okay with it. So she was all right with moving on to the, to the next situation. Corey said, yes, it is so hot. We have ocean, but I don't want to leave the AC. Pray for my mom. I'm helping her with some things for a while, so I can't leave Florida for the near future. All right. Well, we're going to pray for your mom, everybody, tonight on the live stream, and also anyone who watches this back. We're going to pray for your mom, Corey. I hope everything goes well and that she's being taken. You can take care of her effectively and efficiently the way that needs to be. So I pray for you and hope everything goes well, taking care of moms. So Lang said, wow, 7 days. Yes, 7 days is very shoot, people, that's what everybody want now, right? They want 7 day sales, they want 2 day sales, 1 day sales. So I know they happy when they get that house sold in 7 days. The cream of the crop is still selling fast, even in markets that have slowed considerably, which is why I had that little story that I told you about the client that I'm working with currently, because that was a pretty house, cream of the crop. However, higher costs are putting buyers under pressure, so they are more choosy than during the pandemic frenzy. Desirability is ultimately a function of price, and getting the pricing strategy right from day one can be the difference between a week on the market and months, which is true. Sellers who meet buyers' current expectations of price versus higher price expectations during the pandemic can still sell their home quickly. And I agree. I'm seeing it happen. If homes are priced according to the market, if people feel they can still afford it, it makes sense, then they're not staying too long on the market. And these buyers are buying it at the price in which the agents are and the sellers are listing it at. So Lang said, good for her, taking wisdom, especially when you really like the house. People shop on emotions easily. Exactly, Lang. So people shop on emotions easily, and sometimes we got to take our emotions out of it and really look at the financial part of it. As I always tell you guys, I'm very frugal, and I can't pass on my thoughts to other people. However, I just give people advice, and you do what you want to do, because financially we're all in different spots in our life, and we see ourselves growing accordingly how we see ourselves growing, right? So outside of any advice someone gives you, you have to then retain said advice and take it and put it in the way that matters to you going forward, right? So but it says the divergence between homes that sell fast and homes that linger reflects a return to a more balanced housing market. Challenging financial conditions have limited the pool of buyers, yet those still in the market are benefiting from more options and bargaining power. Sellers whose listings check every box sell quickly, while others linger. The divide plays out differently depending on where you look. Several Midwest markets where relatively affordable has kept demand steady, including St. Louis, Cincinnati, and Kansas City, have at least 3 in 10 homes selling within 7 days. It says Sunbelt markets where inventory has surged, including Austin, San Antonio, Charlotte, and Jacksonville, have fewer than 1 in 10 homes selling that quickly, Buyers in these markets have far more options and less incentive to make an immediate offer, just like what Ms. H was saying earlier, as far as being in that Texas area, right? And those homes sitting longer. There are so many options for buyers now that they have the right to go hoping she can find one to make her happier. Yeah, I'm hoping so. We had a conversation because she's put her house up for sale. So I gave her some pointers on what she should do to kind of get the house ready. And it's not about breaking the budget, like I said earlier. It's just about making stuff look desirable to buyers that's looking to buy in her area, so that her house can sell sooner than later. Putting it at a good price point. And I like the one thing I like about her as well is that she is okay because she just bought the house 3 years ago, right? If we all understand how the housing market has gone, depending on where you're located, is that in Georgia, we are seeing a current slight decline in home prices appreciation, but also a steadiness too. And so with her buying a house just 3 years ago, and them needing to adjust due to, having another child, right? This is things that happen in life that are unpredictable. We don't know what's going to happen day to day, year to year, month to month. And so now she needs another full bathroom in her house. And so, yeah, we just went down there and I told her, of course, if you're making any repairs, we're not doing large repairs because you're not going to see a return, especially because you're putting the house up on the market to sell. Doesn't make sense to do large repairs, but do cosmetic little things. Like she has a bunch of book bags on the wall that she just hung up in her house, right? So I said, okay, pull all the book bags off. Let's try to fill in those holes in the wall so it's not a bunch of holes all on the wall, right? And small little things, just small little things that'll make the house look better, declutter, blah, 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 blah. So I don't want to go on a tangent with all that. But yeah. Hey, what's going on, Rhonda? How you doing? I hope you're doing all right. I was just thinking about you the other day. I was going to send you a text just to see how everything was going. Hopefully you're doing well and your Sunday is going well as well. For buyers and sellers navigating this market, preparation and timing matter, and Zillow Preview gives both sides an edge. So this is just going to break it down in regards to metro areas, medium days to pending in March 2026. As you guys can see the dates here, and we'll share. So it's in the United States. So this is in totality across the whole United States. It's taking the medium days to pending is about 19 days. Medium age of active listings, all active listings, about 56 days, according to March 2026. Share of homes sold within 7 days is 18.5%. Share of homes sold within 7 days that sold above list are 44.3%. So basically, those homes that sold quickly there were bidding wars. 44% of those homes that sold within that 7-day period sold for 44.3% above asking. So those are homes that were priced right, and a great locale where people probably were searching at, maybe in a neighborhood where homes don't frequently come on the market, where people want to get into certain sectors and neighborhoods. So yeah, it says share of all homes sold above list in 2026, 17.1%. And then it starts breaking it down by the states: New York, Los Angeles, Chicago, Texas, Houston, Washington, Philly, Miami. So we're going to go, I wanted to get down to Atlanta because, of course, if you guys know, that's where I'm at. So Atlanta says 33. So it says medium days to pending in March 2026. It was about medium wise was about 33 days. And it says medium age of all active listings, as far as the medium days on those with the listings, is 59. Share of homes sold within 7 days in February 2026, 8.6%. And so I wanted to bring this up because I think a lot of people are not understanding right now what's happening in the metro Atlanta market. A lot of home buyers and even agents, they're like, why is this home, the typical home says that days on market is 10 days and it's sitting for 30 days or 40 days. I'm like, it's okay. It's just what's happening right now. As you can see, we're at 8.6% as far as share of homes that sold within 7 days. So we have a low and a small margin of homes that sell within a week in the metro Atlanta area right now. So you have to be patient if you're trying to sell right now in the metro Atlanta area. You're going to see a longer period of time in which your home is sitting outside of what those days on the markets could be. Some neighborhoods, you might see longer days on market, but your house might go on. Maybe you see 130 days, but everything is priced right accordingly. It looks pretty, as I stated, as far as everything's taken care of inside and outside. And a buyer walks right in, and maybe within 1 or 2 buyers, you got somebody buying a house. So it always can be a, I don't want to say I don't want to say oddball, but I guess it is an oddball, right? It's something that happens outside of the norm that doesn't really fit within what it's stating. Hey, what's going on, David Manny? I was just talking about you, how you sent me over the thing in regards to Atlanta. So I wanted to start digging into that. I appreciate that. Appreciate you being here. Alex says Zillow preview is seemingly what is now called coming soon, therefore reducing time on the market as it is previewed. Yes, Zillow. So as you know, Zillow has their coming soon and everything, and you have Zillow preview as well. That's supposed to be the goal of it. We'll see what happens as far as that, therefore reducing the time on the market as it's previewed. We'll see what happens. This is something that they're rolling out. They have different other technology and too that they're rolling out. I believe what's the guy's name? Jesus. Their economist guy, I forget his name. I was just listening to him the other day. Is some new technology that they're rolling, that they're kind of doing as well on the back end to kind of roll out with like the AI and different things. So yes, different tactics and tools to kind of reduce timing on market and everything. However, as there's always, not always, but there's always been technically coming soon in the MLS for agents from my end. I don't know if how Davis works in Nebraska as far as if they've had that coming soon in the MLS. However, yeah, it'll be interesting in regards to that as far as reducing the time, because I've seen a lot of agents doing it as far as putting it online, as far as that the coming soon, and it drives up a lot of hypes. It drives up a lot of people saving it, right? You can save on Zillow. So the intent behind it is not outside of not only reducing the days on market, but it's also to try to hopefully build up enough competition or people to want to come and see it. So once it launches on the market, you can then have a great open house. People come out for the open house if the agent decides to do one, can get more and get more eyeballs on it before it's active and everything. So we'll kind of see what happens in regards to the Zillow and the different things they're doing as far as the coming soon, the Zillow showcase, all those different things that they're doing to help in regards to housing. We'll see what happens. So and then in Atlanta, again, we have right here, it says share of homes sold within 7 days that sold above asking price. So as you can see, we actually have a nice amount, 36.1%. So again, we're still getting those homes, even though a slim amount of homes selling within 7 days. The ones that there's still is a nice jump as far as them selling above asking price when at 7 days. Share of all homes sold above list price in February 2026 is 12.7%. So it's varying and everything. So we'll see what happens. Now let's jump into this article that they're talking about. If you're a buyer now, you have a negotiating power in this particular and certain markets as a buyer. So now what we're seeing in some of these markets where homes are sitting longer, if they're lingering, you're having an opportunity to negotiate in certain major metros. And again, Atlanta is on the list as one of them. I feel like Atlanta might be one of them because a lot of the homes that are sitting in our metro are a lot of investor-owned properties, and typically most of them are not well taken care of. And then, of course, you have older homes that are sitting, maybe unfortunately due to probate or other circumstances where they've been sitting, they've been, they're boarded up now, things been happening, situations like that. But yeah, it's so many different variables, as we all know, when it comes to housing and why things sit, why things move. It's all about the psychology, right? As human beings, it's all about our psychology. Home buyers hold the negotiating power in 38 major metros from 29 last year. So it's up in regards to these home buyers in certain metros. There were an estimated 43.1% more home sellers than buyers in the U.S. housing market in March, or 600,168 more in the numerical terms. That's just shy of the largest gap in records dating back from 2013. It is up from 28% or 432,532 a year earlier. The largest gap on record is 45.2% in December 2025. All right, so it says there are over 40% more home sellers than buyers. It shows you the graph in 2026, up at 43%. It says that, so this is, they're going to kind of define to you what they call a buyer's market in their terminology. We define a market where there are over 10% more sellers than buyers as a buyer's market, and a market where there are over 10% fewer sellers than buyers as a seller's market. A market where the gap is plus or minus 10% is considered a balanced market. By this definition, it has been a buyer's market since May 2024, according to what's it, Zillow, right? Or Redfin, let me show Redfin, sorry. According to Redfin, it has been a buyer's market since 2024. And typically, again, depending on where you're located at, we go by markets based on the months of inventory as far as realtors, compared to how Redfin does it. So if it's typically about 4 to 5 months, they call it a balanced market. Anything over 6+ months is a buyer's market. Under 4 is typically a seller's market, according to months of supply or market, as we look at as realtors sometimes. When sellers outnumber buyers, buyers typically hold the negotiating power because they have options. That's why a market with a lot more sellers than buyers is considered a buyer's market. Of course, it's only a buyer's market for those who can afford to buy. And that's another thing, right? People have to be able to afford to buy. So even if, let's just say, I know everybody's waiting for a crash to come or things to happen. If you're waiting for this to happen, you got to make sure you financially put yourself in a space in order to be able to buy if such thing happens, right? If you're waiting for a market to crash, but yet you haven't been putting savings aside to have the money to afford a house when the market crashes, then how will you be able to jump into the game to get a house if the market crashes, right? If you're just depending on, and if you're waiting for a market to crash, but you lose your job, how can you then in turn be able to buy a house? Because the lender, if you're financing, the lender is going to be like, I need you to have some source. You need to have a job in order to buy a house. So it's like a catch-22, right? So you have to make sure if you're waiting for a market to crash or you're looking for a crash to occur, you have to put yourself financially in a good spot. So when it does occur, or if it does, I don't have a crystal ball, so I don't know if it will or not. But if it does occur, you'll be financially ready to be able to jump on something and be able to, be able to buy. High housing costs and economic uncertainty have caused many house hunters to retreat, creating an imbalance of buyers and sellers. All right, so now let's go down to the different markets. So it says home buyers and sellers have both been backing off. As we know, we had this discussion last week when I was talking to why I've even talked to home sellers where they're like, I'm not trying to sell because I want X amount of money for my house, but the buyers aren't buying. So I'm just going to wait for the buyers to come back out to buy so they can buy my house at this amount. And because of rates and da-da-da-da. So it's so funny because people think it's just buyers, but it's actually on both sides. I've talked to people on both sides where buyers are like, I don't want to buy because of this. Sellers are like, I don't want to sell because of this. So it's interesting. All right, let's look at the 38 markets in regards to buyer markets. There are 38 buyer markets, down from 29 last year. All right, let's look at these buyer markets. It should be down here, right here. Okay, here we go. It says, so this says, on average, home prices rose 4.8% year over year across the 5 sellers markets in March, compared to with 1.6% increase across the 38 buyers market, an indication that buyers markets offer house hunters more leverage. So these are the 50 most populous metros in March 2026 that are considered buyers markets, according to Redfin. All right, so the first one is Anaheim, California. So it says percentage of by which sellers outnumber buyers is 43.6%. So there are more sellers than buyers, so they consider this a buyer's market. So if you're in that area, it's a buyer's market. Atlanta, Georgia, again, this is the area I'm in. There is 70.4% of sellers outnumber buyers. As you can see, there's 38,656 sellers, 22,000 something buyers. So they're considering this a Metro Atlanta. And it's very funny in regards to these numbers because there are a lot of properties in Metro Atlanta that are sitting. Like I said, a lot of them are in corporate investor, hedge fund properties, mom and pop investors as well. We're seeing a lot of that. A lot of realtors who've also jumped into business and did some fix and flips, took out some construction loans. Some of them are always every time. Every year comes around, once they use that 1 year, 12-month construction loan, they hit the foreclosure as well. They get on the list and they end up paying whatever or refinancing or doing whatever they do so they get off the list. So it's interesting. It's kind of funny too. Well, it's not funny. Let me not say that it's not funny, but it's interesting what they end up doing. Austin, Texas, again, it's saying it's up 112.1%. There are 18,000 sellers, 8,500, I guess I'll say buyers. So in Austin, Texas right now, if you are trying to buy in Austin, Texas, this might be the time to go out and see if you can negotiate and really get a good deal, because it seems like that market has a lot of homes sitting on the market and they don't have enough people buying. So it's up 112.1%. Baltimore, Maryland is actually a balanced market according to Redfin. It's negative 5.9%. There are a little bit less sellers than there are buyers. So that might be the market to kind of hold out, maybe kind of wait and see what happens. Or if you're going to buy right now, maybe try to find a diamond in the rough and negotiate accordingly so you don't overpay. Boston, Massachusetts as well is a balanced market, negative 0.1.4%. Again, you have that less sellers by a little bit from buyers. So that's another market you want to kind of do similar to Maryland. Charlotte, North Carolina is a buyer's market by 88.7%. So if you are in that market right now, it might be a time to kind of see what's going on and see how you can negotiate, whether it be prices, concessions, different incentives. Maybe you get some closing costs and maybe use the closing costs if it makes sense. Depending, again, do the math, talk to your own lender. I'm just a realtor. But if it makes sense, maybe take that closing cost, buy down that interest rate. But again, it has to make sense. If you're not going to be in this house for 20 something plus years, it might not make sense to buy no interest rate down if you're going to be there for 3 years or less or 5 years or less. So negotiate accordingly. Chicago, Illinois, they're saying it's a balanced market, 1.4%. Cincinnati, Ohio is a buyer's market, 30.7%. Cleveland, Ohio is a balanced market. So as you guys can see, we're still in Ohio, and this is how you can see that very difference as far as even the market that you're in, where you can have a balanced market here, a buyer's market here, a seller's market here in the same state, just depending on where you're located at. So that's why real estate is very local, and you should always try to talk to someone local within that area to see what's truly happening, right? So Cleveland, Ohio, you have a balance as negative 4.2%. Columbus, Ohio, we have a buyer's market, 22.8%. Dallas, Texas, 86.7% buyer's market. Denver, Colorado is a buyer's market, 37.2%. Detroit, Michigan is a buyer's market, 48.7%. Fort Worth, Texas, buyers, 69.2%. Houston, Texas, buyers, 96.5%. Indianapolis, Indiana, buyers is 26.3%. Jacksonville, Florida, buyer's market, 58.7%. Kansas City, Missouri, buyer's market 21.8%. Las Vegas, Nevada, 100%. So if you're in Las Vegas, Nevada, trying to possibly purchase something in the future, you feel like you're ready to go, talk to a local professional there and see where you're trying to buy. Again, depends on where you're at, because even if you're in Las Vegas, Nevada, you could be in one part of Las Vegas, another part of Las Vegas could be, you could kind of see maybe possibly a different market. So, but definitely that might be good to buy in Vegas right now. Los Angeles, California, buyer's market 58.6%. Miami, Florida, I don't know. I forget where you're at, Croy, but I don't know if you're seeing a lot of if you're near Miami, Florida, but they're saying it's 147.9%. So I don't know. And I feel like a lot of this might be condos. Again, this doesn't really break down the nuances of the housing market per se, but I feel like maybe a lot of it is condos in this Miami, Florida area. So that's why you're kind of seeing a higher buyer's market there. Milwaukee is a seller's market. So if you're in Wisconsin right now, Milwaukee, they're saying the sellers are still winning in this market because there's not as many sellers compared to buyers. Minnesota, Minneapolis is 9%, so it's a balanced market. Montgomery, Pennsylvania, if you're in PA, there's a seller's market. There are more buyers than sellers. Nashville, Tennessee is it looks like there are more sellers than buyers. Is that buyers market 119%. Nassau, New York, they're having the sellers market up there, negative 28%. New Jersey, New Brunswick, New Jersey, sorry, negative 12.5% sellers market. New York, buyers market 12.6%. So this is New York, not New York City. New Jersey, Newark, New Jersey is a seller's market. They're saying 30.4% negative. Oakland, California, buyer's market 36%. Orlando, Florida is a buyer's market 81%. Philadelphia, PA is a buyer's market 35.2%. Phoenix, Arizona is a buyer's market 79%. Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, 55% buyer's market. Portland, Oregon, buyer's market 45.5%. Rhode Island, Providence is a balanced market, negative 0.19%, 1.9%. Riverside, California, buyer's market 66.4%. Sacramento, California, buyer's market 34.5%. San Antonio, Texas, a buyer's market 109%. San Diego, California, buyer's market 29.6%. San Francisco, buyers 12.1%. San Jose, California, buyer's market 28.5%. Seattle, Washington, buyer's market 34.9%. St. Louis, Missouri, buyer's market 17%. Tampa, Florida, buyer's market 82%. United States of America in total, they are saying that total there is more of a buyer's market happening right now, 43.1% compared to a seller's market. Virginia Beach, 14%. Warren, 16%. DC, 14% buyers, and West Palm Beach, Florida, 94%. So these, according to Redfin, are different buyers markets, seller markets, but it's saying in totality that America in itself right now, United States of America, we're really seeing more of a buyer's market. So I don't know, you guys. Let me know what you're feeling in your area. Croy said, yes, condo all over the place. And I'm 2.5 hours from Miami, but the HOA and special fees are making people sell. Yeah, I've heard a lot about that as far as those HOAs and those special assessment fees down there in Florida and people wanting to sell. And it was recently a guy said he bought a house and a condo in Florida. He was on TikTok, I think, talking about it. He bought a condo in Florida. His HOAs when he first bought it was at $700 a month. And then he said after that, within a month or two, he got hit with a special assessment of $395 added on to his HOA fee. And I think the HOA also went up like $100. So I can see how those condos are sitting. Even down here in the Metro Atlanta area, there's a lot of people trying to sell. And like Midtown area, some parts of different areas in Metro Atlanta area where people are trying to sell their condos and they can't sell them. They're sitting. Some of these condo prices are even at 2018 price points now, as far as when people bought it in 2018, 2019, because these condos, some of them can't sell due to the heavy price of the HOA. So I definitely believe that we're seeing that happen as far as those condos kind of making those days on the market sit longer. All right, let's dip into, if you guys are okay with it, we're going to talk a little bit about Metro Atlanta. If you guys are okay, it's a quick snapshot from Redfin in regards to Metro Atlanta. Let me know what's happening in your market. If you guys, it says Atlanta housing market, according to Redfin, powered by Rocket. If you guys don't know, Redfin and Rocket Mortgage are all one, and also Mr. Cooper. They all combined. So yep. Atlanta housing market is somewhat competitive. Homes in Atlanta receive 2 offers on average and sell within around 69 days. The median sell price on a home in Atlanta was $440,000 last month, down 3.3% since last year. The median sales price per square foot in Atlanta is $291, up 0.3% since last year. Again, when we're looking at these mediums and these different prices, a lot more people are buying higher price point homes. So your sell price per square foot is going to be higher. So where you see that increase of 0.3%, it does not mean it's increasing because the lower properties are increasing as far as price point. It means that more people are buying more higher price point homes. So you're seeing increases and where people feel like, why is it increasing when it should be going down according to what's happening right now? Atlanta housing market trends. It says in March 2026, Atlanta home prices were down 3.3% compared to last year. selling for a median price of $440,000. On average, homes in Atlanta sell after 69 days on the market compared to 57 last year. So as you guys can see, days on the market have increased in Atlanta, in the metro Atlanta area. There were 569 homes sold in March this year, down from 579 last year. So as you guys can also see, the home sales are going down, but also that can mean that people are just taking their home off the market too, and they're just waiting to relist later on to try to see if they can get the same price that they were trying to get. Does it always work? No, but to each his own. Try you have to try what try different, I guess, tactics and see what works best for you. All right, so it says the median sales price 440,000 year over year is down 3.3%. And if we just go switch it up to the single family homes, median sales price year over year is down 4.5%, 535,000. And this is the interesting thing when I was playing around with this. Median sales price for townhomes are down 4.5%, 472, 500. But when it comes to the condos, the median sales price is up 4.8%. And again, what I'm noticing with these condos, which I think is very interesting again, because I don't look at Metro Atlanta or Atlanta in itself as a condo city. We do have condos here. When I think of condos, I think of like, of course, Florida on the beach. I think of New York City because typically, most of the stuff in the city and they call them apartments, but they're technically, I guess, quote unquote, condos. I look at those places to kind of be more heavy with those condos per se, outside of Metro Atlanta, where you can get more land, and you can get a single family house. So what's happening and what I'm noticing is that most of the condos that people are buying are in the city of Atlanta, and some of them are like these more high luxury condos that have 24-hour concierge, of course, pools, gyms, different type of things, restaurants inside the buildings, eating amenities, different things like that. And so these units are selling at a high price point. Like people are buying condos in Atlanta for $800,000, $1 million. I saw one lady, one influencer, she bought in 2024 though, but she bought a condo for 2.5 million. So you're going to get a higher medium sales price with these condos in this Atlanta metro, in this Atlanta area. I mean, Alex said price per square foot is going up because there are no basements left to refinish. There definitely are. Well, as we all know, in Atlanta, most homes don't have a lot of basements. And now some of these new construction homes, they're building them with basements, but some of these basements are not. They're not completed basements. They're not completing the basements. So yeah, Atlanta. You don't find as many basements in homes in Atlanta as well. So, but compared to other states where they have basements, especially northern states have a lot more basements. All right, so that's condos. Let me put it back to all homes. So altogether, it's down. It says it's talking about working with best agents, blah 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 blah. It says sell to list price, all types of homes is 9.8%. So it says it's down 0.4% year over year. Let's look at the condos. Is it up? Nope, it's down as well. Let's look at these single family. So they're all down year over year in Atlanta as far as the sales to list price. All right, right here. Let's see. This is kind of talking about where people are moving from. So I thought this was interesting as well as people moving in and from Atlanta, as far as what's causing prices to go up. So it says moving to Atlanta, moving from Atlanta. All right. So as you can see, we have people moving from and to. And we'll go down here. So it says people are moving to Atlanta from New York, which I always talk about, Los Angeles, California, Washington, D.C. And this was in 2025 of December. San Francisco, California, Detroit, Michigan, Miami, Florida, Cleveland, Ohio, Philadelphia, PA, Seattle, Washington, and Texas are the top 10. And then people that are leaving Atlanta are going to like Boston, Massachusetts, Nashville, Tennessee, which is so funny because I met a young gentleman, him and his family. They were moving. They originally moved from Utah. I believe he was from Utah. Nice gentleman. He was a Mormon. Very nice. Him and his wife. And I saw them moving one day. I'm like, where are you guys moving to? Because every time somebody moves around me, I'm like, where are you going? And so he was like, we're going up to Massachusetts because we want our family around us with the babies or whatever. So they actually moved to Massachusetts. So that's so funny that's number one. Nashville, Tennessee, Chattanooga, Tennessee, Macon, Georgia. So people in Georgia and the metro Atlanta area, they're just moving in different parts of Georgia. So they're moving south. Macon, Georgia, Memphis, Tennessee, South Carolina, Savannah, Georgia, again, moving south. Jacksonville, Florida, Columbus, Georgia, moving again south. And then Asheville, North Carolina, which is so funny because a teacher that I know, her and her family actually moved to Asheville, North Carolina, which kind of sucked because when they moved there, that whole hurricane situation happened. So I was praying that they were all right and they were okay. But yeah. So that's a little bit about Atlanta. As you guys can see, there are houses in the Atlanta area selling for $140,000. It was priced at $200,000. It sold for $140,000, but as you can see how the house looks, right? This is what the house looks like. It's boarded up. But you can, depend on where you want to be at, you could possibly get a house in the metro Atlanta area for $100,000 now. I mean, in Atlanta, hold on. It switched. Let me stop sharing this so you guys can see this house in Atlanta real quick. But you can, you can get a house in Atlanta now for $140,000. But, it just depends on where you want to be at, depends on how you feel about these houses. But is it doable now? It kind of is, which is, and it says right here, prime opportunity in Venetian Hills. All major electrical exterior improvements have already been completed. New roof, new plumbing, new electrical, new siding, new HVAC, saving time and capital on the front end of the rehab. The interior is unfinished and ready for a build out. So basically, this person who bought it is an investor. So you still got to go in there and finish the building inside. But you can buy a house for $140,000, and it depends on what type of investment you want to put into the house to finish it off. So it just all depends on you as a person and what you want to do. But needless to say, I want to thank everybody for joining me this Sunday night. I appreciate everyone being here. Alex, Croy, Rhonda, Lang, David, Miss H, Donna, my dad as well. Thank you guys for joining this Sunday. I will see you guys next Sunday. Have a very safe and a great Sunday night, and take care. And until next time, we will chat next Sunday. If you're new here, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, hit that like button, and also hit that hype star button to help us go through the algorithm so more people can join in the live conversation with us when we talk real estate over on the channel. I'll see you guys next Sunday. All right, bye.